Hello everyone, thanks for joining us today. Hope everyone's doing well. I'm Jacob McGahey, I'm the Vice President here at Industry 9. I've been here since 2010, so watched a lot of things change over the last 9 years. And my role here, as with most of us at the company, I wear a lot of different hats, but one of my primary roles here is the product manager for the company. And I was involved with Clint with the Torch development project. Clint's our owner and head engineer here. And I've been directly involved with the development on the new Hydra and 101 systems, which Clint, myself, and Michael Dulken here have handled. So I really appreciate everyone coming to join us today, and I'll go ahead and hand it off to Michael.
Hey, what's up? I'm Michael Dulken. I'm an engineer here at Industry 9. I've been here since 2016. Yeah.
So. Those of you who are on either Facebook or Instagram today, feel free to chime in with any questions you have. If you go to your Facebook page, the lower right-hand corner, you should be able to comment. And then on our Instagram site, just go to the current post in the Q&A, and you can chime in the comments there, and we'll try to get to some of those questions towards the end of our time here today. So the reason we're here today is we've had a lot of questions so far, a lot of excitement as well about the launch of the Hydra product and new 101 product. We realize it's an all-new system. It's unlike anything else that's on the market right now, and so along with that comes some questions, and we want to make sure that we do our best to try to explain the reason we launched the Hydra product line and the technology behind it, and what that offers to the rider, as well as how it works. So our Torch system's been around for a while. Most of you are familiar with it. It's been really successful. It's a great product. We really feel like Hydra takes performance of our product line to the next level. And I'm going to hand it over to Michael Dulken here to explain some of the details of how it works.
Yeah, so one of the very common questions we've been getting has been the deflection that is going to be caused from having the paws individually phased, so one paw engaged at a time, and how that's going to kind of deflect the whole system. And the way that we're controlling that is by the number of the teeth in the system. We're very tightly controlling the value or the amount that it's allowed to deflect to where it won't reach the yield point of any of the components or materials in the system, therefore not overloading or damaging any bearings. So that's kind of how we're mitigating flex. Also, that's where we get our 690 points of engagement, which is just a bonus to the system. For our testing process on this, we have an air cylinder with a lever arm that we've been using, running it up to like 90 psi, and with our lab test results and lots of field tests over like 2.5 years of field testing, the system, the drive mechanism itself, is over 20% stronger than Torch. As reliable of a system as that was, this is just going to be the next step above in reliability and durability. The bearings themselves, they're also 25% stronger. We increased the bearing size on all the bearings, so you should see increased bearing reliability. Yeah, and then so you'll get the added plus of the increased points of engagement, the half a degree engagement that you'll really benefit from on the techie climbs and just riding throughout. Yeah.
So one of the common questions we've gotten from several folks on the forums is, what does 690 points of engagement mean? What does that mean in terms of how the system functions, and as an extension of that, what does that mean to the rider on the trail? So the way you look at our system, we have a 115 tooth drive ring, and we got 6 individually phased pawls. So you should think about it as that drive ring travels around a 360 degree circumference as the wheel spins 360 degrees. Each of those teeth is going to cross over a single pawl 6 times for every increment of movement. So basically you've got 6 times 115 teeth, gives you that 690 points of engagement. So that's the easy part of the math, relatively speaking. But some people have asked, well, if the system relies on flex, what does that mean? Is it really a half degree of engagement? Is it really 690 points? Well, the reality is that every single system out there's no system, whether it's a ring drive system, whether it's a traditional pawl system, every system is going to have some level of additional movement as the system starts to engage. If you think about it, your drive ring is always going to have some type of an angle on it in relation to the pawls. Otherwise, if the the drive ring was angled outward, your pawl would just slip out of the drive ring as you start to pedal. So there's a back angle on all of those pawls so that it holds the pawls into place under torque. And so with any system that's out there currently, whether it's our torch system or other products out there, as you start to pedal, as you get that initial click, as you start to pedal forward, that pawl is actually going to move forward to engage the tooth in the drive ring. Now, depending on the system, it could be a ½ degree, it could be a degree, it could possibly be more. So no matter what type of system you have, as you start to pedal, you're actually going to get some additional movement beyond that click into place. So that's 690 points of engagement. Our goal wasn't to try to be the highest number we could possibly be, or to outcompete other companies in terms of that number. The main goal was to have a fast engaging, reliable system. So other systems out there, may have a lower amount of engagement versus Hydra, which is one of the huge advantages of Hydra, that it is faster. But our goal isn't necessarily to have the highest possible number of engagement of the system. The overall goal for the system is for it to be high engagement and very, very durable, as well as lowering drag.
Yeah, so some other questions we've been getting are, is Hydra available for road? It is not. It is only our mountain product. It is our full line of mountain product. It wasn't a good fit for road, so it's just, like I said, it's our mountain product for now. It is compatible with XTR. We do have microspline Hydra. We have HG. We have XD. So every configuration, single speed, it is also compatible with that. We've also been getting a lot of questions about the noise of Torch compared to Hydra. So we have some hubs built up here. We'll do a little noise demonstration. So this is our Torch drive right here. So if you can hear the noise level with that. And this is with Dumantech Free Hub oil. And then we have Hydra here, and you can hear the noise difference in that. This is with Dumantech Free Hub grease. And the amount of grease you put in the system also greatly affects the noise level. Along with what contributes to the decrease in noise is the smaller mass of the paws. The spring pressure, because we're using a flat leaf spring instead of a coil spring, has more of a linear spring rate. So you're going to have better control over that. The tooth itself is actuating less in the system than Torch because you have smaller teeth, so less actuation. So therefore, you're compressing the spring less, so less drag from there as well, and also a reduction in noise.
Speaking of noise, several customers online have said, hey, we want to hear what these hubs sound like compared to Torch. So built into a complete wheel, so when you're riding down the trail, here's a Torch wheel. We're going to give it a quick spin so you can hear what it sounds like. So get it over closer here to the mic. So that's the Torch system.
Cool, and so here is our Hydra system. You want to spin that one too?
Yep. So here's the Hydra system. This is with Free Hub oil. So this is kind of the next level of sound. So that's the way the Hydra system sounds with the same Free Hub oil as the Torch.
And then here we have the Hydra system with Dumantech Free Hub grease, and you'll definitely notice it is significantly quieter. This is something that you could service a few times a season to maintain this level of noise. And another added benefit of this system versus Torch is the serviceability of it. Everything is removed by hand. You can just remove your end caps by hand, remove your Free Hub, apply the grease, and then to reinstall, you just insert the Free Hub back on the axle, rotate it, and then you can just snap your end cap back on by hand, and that's how you can control your the audio level of the system. So you can get these pretty quiet.
So several people have been asking whether they could upgrade their Torch product to Hydra. So as of right now, we don't have a simple way to swap out the guts in a Torch hub to switch to Hydra. The drive ring over time essentially gets tightened into the hub, and it's very difficult to remove reliably. So the best solution we have available to customers is you can purchase a new hub, and we will, if you've got a system wheel with alloy spokes, you can send in your wheel, our service department can swap that out for a Hydra hub. And if you want more details on that, feel free to reach out to our service department. Sorry about the background noise, folks. Reach out to our service department, and Service Industry 9, they'll get you guys taken care of. So one of the next questions a lot of folks are asking about is drag. Dulken can touch on that again.
So as far as drag goes, that kind of coincides with the noise level. Reduction in noise, obviously a reduction in drag, same thing. The paws themselves have a smaller surface area in contact with the system, and you only have one paw that is engaged to create the drag versus you have 3 engaged on torch. So when you're rotating that, you're rotating 3 paws out of engagement versus rotating 1 paw out of engagement. And the surface area of the paw itself is smaller. Again, with the flat springs that have a more linear spring rate than the coil springs, you are going to have a lower drag from that as well. It is the same seal as torch. So yeah, it's a reduction in drag, reduction in noise all around, a more robust, more serviceable, durable system.
So looks like someone wrote in a question with higher PoE, did we use a smaller wire to cut them on the EDM?
Yeah, so that is actually, we use the same wire for that. EDM is definitely, as some of you may know, one of the most precise manufacturing methods available to us here. So no, it is the same machine that cuts our torch drive rings.
Yeah, one thing to note though with the Hydra process, because of the higher tooth count, for us to produce 60 drive rings with the torch system took us about 18 hours. For the Hydra product, it takes about 24 hours to make 60 drive rings on the EDM. So that has been one of the changes with the manufacturing process on the Hydra, and one of the reasons the cost did go up a little bit. And that's been a question that a few folks have asked as well. Speaking of which, the other factors that have gone into a slight increase in price on the Hydra product is we have seen some steady material costs over the last several years that we haven't passed along to customers, and recently bumped up even more so with some of the recent tariff changes. So we did make some small adjustments to the pricing overall, but we feel overall that we've got a great product and significantly improved for the Hydra, and well worth the extra few bucks on the hubs.
Cool. So another question that we've gotten is how is 101 differentiate itself and is more durable than torch, given that it's kind of the same phase system in the sense that we have 6 paws and 2 phases, 3 engaged at each time. And the way we've done that is we've put stronger bearings in the system. These have overall a 20% higher load rating on the bearings. You have less teeth in the system, so your probability of getting a partial or single paw engagement is greatly reduced. And we went with a 15 millimeter axle, so that way it shares the load through your through axle, so it's not going to deflect as much. And then, as you can see on our free hub here, the pivot pockets of the actual paw are much larger to distribute that load throughout the system, so you have a lot less PSI going into each square inch of that. So it's distributed throughout the free hub better. So it's just a more durable, really bomb-proof hub that we've done with the 101.
And obviously one of the factors with the 101 was really targeting price on it. So the Hydra technology, it is very expensive for us to produce the drive mechanism. So it's, the 101 was, we obviously want to take what we learned with the development process of the Hydra in terms of reducing the overall loads in the system and improving durability. But the main goal with that project is trying to bring Industry 9 technology down to a price point that is accessible for a broader range of riders. We feel like ultimately having a great wheel set and a great hub set is one of the most important ingredients to a great riding experience, and making sure you get out of the woods in one piece after every ride and your ride experience is positive. So we don't want to have trying to eliminate what restriction which we can to bring that to a broader range of riders.
Yeah, so another one we have is explaining the new bearing size and how we got the 20% higher load rated bearings with going to the 15 millimeter axle. to inherently make a stiffer system, we were able to go with a smaller ID bearing while we retain the same OD of the bearing. So it's actually a thicker cross-section bearing, so that's where it gets its heavier load rating. You have larger balls in the ball bearing itself, so that's the difference in the bearing size. Yeah.
So one of the other things that people have asked, I've seen on some of the online forums, is just what is 690 points of engagement? What does that do for the rider? Does it really make a difference having the higher engagement? And we've been testing this product back to back with Torch. We've tested other products in the field as well, and can certainly say that it is a real positive benefit to the rider, particularly if you think about it when you're doing technical climbing, for instance, low-speed technical climbing, and you have to pause your pedaling for a minute to lunge up onto a log or over a super steep rock or root section, and then start pedaling again. The benefit of the Hydra system is, one, you've got the instant engagement, so you're not going to arrest your momentum and start to lose speed and lose your momentum and on the trail and stall out. But the other big benefit is having a higher engagement system means you essentially have less lash in the system. So if you think about it with a traditional 15 or 20 degree hub, yes, when you start to pedal and it doesn't engage right away, you're losing momentum. But the other factor is that drive mechanism finally starts to engage, you've got a lot of angular momentum and torque built up through your crankset, and you're way more likely to lose traction with the rear tire. So one of the things that's really noticeable with the Hydra, it's almost like traction control. When you're going up a super steep technical climb and you're having to ratchet through stuff, because it engages right away, it keeps your torque delivery from overpowering your contact patch and really keeps the tire in contact with the ground, and truly makes a big difference when it comes to technical climbing. When you're going downhill, shooting off of a berm in a corner, it's way easier to manual the bike out of the corner and jump into the next straightaway and just kind of deliver power quicker and more effectively with the system. So really do feel like it's a meaningful benefit to the rider. But the best part about it is all of that comes along with improved durability, which again, honestly, between those two factors, engagement and durability, I would say that durability was our biggest single focus with the Hydra product. Is how can we take the durability of the product to the next level, and of course improve the performance as well.
Yeah, I agree with all that. So some other ones coming in are, we still servicing Torch? Yeah, we will service Torch for years to come. I believe we're kind of phasing out with our legacy product. We still have a few parts left for that, but that is we're definitely not manufacturing new parts for that. But Torch is still going to be serviced for years to come. Something else that was asked is, how is the deflection controlled? Well, with this system and having 6 phases, and the way that the free hub rotates when you apply torque, you have to imagine that the paw that is engaged becomes your fulcrum point, and so then everything rotates kind of up and back from there. So we have the preceding paw is the next one to engage, and that distance we've tightly controlled with the number of teeth in the system. And again, that distance is enough to where the system won't be overloaded, the bearings won't reach their load rating, the material won't reach its yield point. So for that, that's how we're controlling the deflection, by having the 6 individual phases. So, and then even in a high torque situation, when you're putting down a lot of power, it'll rotate and you'll get like 2, 3, maybe even 4 paws to engage, because of that kind of twisting motion of the free hub and the hub shell. And once all those engage, you're not going to deflect. You're going to reach a maximum deflection point, and even at that maximum deflection, it's not going to overload any of the components of the hub system.
And the reality is, this is not something that we're just kind of coming to market with right now and haven't put a lot of test time into. We've had product out in the field under testers now for going back to almost 2 years, and so far we've seen significantly higher bearing life. In fact, all of our original test wheels with the Hydra system built into the Torch platform, all are still running on their original bearings. A lot of those particular wheels have been in the field for in the range of a year. We had previous prototypes going back a couple of years, which are still running on the original bearings. So The part of it, yes, we can talk about this all day long, but the reality is we've got product in the field. We've got lots and lots of riders on it. We have sponsored athletes that have been riding this product for months, and it has been exceptionally reliable. We've had zero significant issues with the system, and all the system has been exceptionally reliable so far.
Cool. So another question we have is, what about the front hub? So we've been talking about the rear hub this whole time, but here's some we did. For boost, which is our most common configuration, we have a different front axle, which is actually a shouldered front axle. So if you're familiar with our existing Torch product, you'll remember that the end caps kind of have the bearing shoulder in them, and then you insert that through and you have a spacer between the bearings. But with this system, we did a shouldered axle, so that way that both of the bearing inner races are riding on the same plane, same axis. And then again, the end caps, it's very serviceable just by hand. They're all retained by O-rings and they just slide on. So really, really durable front hub as well. So you should see significant bearing life improvement on those as well as the rear.
So one question we've just received recently is, what's the plan for our road product line if not Hydra? So first of all, just as an explanation for why we're not utilizing Hydra for our road lineup, in terms of the road product performance, super high engagement was not as much of a priority. Road bikes obviously are traveling at a lot higher speeds. You're not dealing with really technical climbing at really low speeds. So the road product line, we're focused really on drag, weight, and also noise for the system as well is a big factor. And Hydra, which as you heard earlier, while it is quieter and lower drag than Torch, because it is still a 6-pawl system versus the 3-pawl system we're using on the Road Torch product, the 3-pawl system is still lower drag and slightly quieter system than the Hydra system for the road. And it also does save a little bit of weight with that system as well. So that's we're sticking with that for the road product. And the other big factor with road is that you don't see nearly the loads on the drivetrain. So on a mountain bike, where you commonly nowadays got riders with 26, 28 tooth front chain rings, with 1050 or now 1051 cassettes, really high leverage ratio on the system, puts a ton of stress on the rear hub. On the road, it's still most riders are using maybe a 34 tooth chain ring up front, 28, maybe a 32 in the rear. The overall torque applied to a road hub is much lower. So our road system really isn't subject to the same level of stresses that you see in the mountain system. So the Torch 3-pawl is still lower drag, quieter system. It's a great application for the road. As far as a plan for the road in the future, we're always looking to evolve our product line. We don't have anything immediately in the works, so rest assured that your road product is not going to be turned over to a new design anytime soon. But certainly we'll always be looking towards the future and see if there's some opportunities to improve that product as well over the coming years.
Cool. So another question we had come in is kind of going over what's available with each product as far as color configurations, dropout spacings. So with our Hydra configuration, you'll get all 11 of our colors, any pattern you want if you do a system wheel. Every dropout spacing that was offered with Torch is now offered with Hydra. The front axle, though, only applies to boost. Fat front 150, non-boost 100. Those will all retain the old style Torch front axle. The 101 hubs are boost only, 12 mil through bolt in the rear, 15 mil in the front, and they are black only. We don't offer any colors on those, but we do offer these in 28 and 32 hole configurations. You can buy hub only, or you can buy a complete wheel. If you go with a complete wheel option, it'll be a 28 hole. And again, with the Hydra, that's available in our system wheel, our classic wheel, all of our mountain product. You can buy the S series wheel, which will be the steel spoke complete wheel. Those are black only. Then you've got the system with the color options, and then our classic hub only as an option as well. And then we want to go into like service and maintenance a little bit on these. So like I went over before, it's incredibly easy to service. You don't need any tools. You can just pop the end cap off by hand, remove the free hub body, and apply your grease. I would say once a season it would be good to go through and clean these out and re-lubricate them. When you do apply your free hub grease to the internals, what we've been doing is just a little dab of grease behind every other pawl. That seems to get the right volume of grease in the system. And then we'll just do some marine assembly grease on the outside of the bearings, which kind of creates a membrane to stop any outside contaminants or moisture from getting in. And then we just have proximity seals on the end caps. So yeah, it's tool free, super easy to service, should last a long time.
All right, well, just want to thank everybody again for coming by today. Really appreciate you guys listening to what we had to say. And actually, well, we've got a moment. We're going to introduce you to Clint Spiegel here,
Hello,
our owner.
everybody. All right, did everybody